Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to start collecting Warhammer 40,000, and today we're going to take a look at the Drukhari's Combat Patrol box set. Now in this video, we're going to go through and talk a little bit about all the different units that come inside this box set, how we can build up models, what options we have, and briefly what those units do on the tabletop as well. We'll then take a look at some other units we can use to expand upon this initial box set, and then finally finish off the video with a little sample army list of 1,000 points for you to use, hopefully as some inspiration for starting your own army of the Drukhari in Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. And so, to begin with, first of all, we have the character we get in the box set, and this is the Archon. This is sort of our generic Drukhari leader. We definitely have a lot of different sort of bits and pieces of the Drukhari force that make them up, but the Archon is sort of our general sort of leader. Now, we do have the Overlord ability, where when this model is leading a unit, each time a model from that unit makes an attack, you can reroll the wound roll of 1. And while this unit is empowered, each time a model in the unit makes an attack, you can just flat out reroll the wound roll. Devious Mastermind as well means once per battle after your opponent has used a stratagem, if your model is a warlord and is on the battlefield, it can use this ability. If it does so until the end of the battle, increase the cost of that stratagem to your opponent by 1 CP. A really powerful ability to help drain your opponent's CP, and especially if you can time it nicely with a very potent stratagem your opponent needs to be using throughout the game. Now, you do have an invulnerable save of 2+, however, you cannot reroll invulnerable saving throws made for this model, and the first time its invulnerable saving throw made is failed. Until the end of the battle, it'll no longer have an invuln saving throw. So, you do have that 2 up right from the get-go, but if you ever fail it, it will just disappear and you'll go down to your save of 4+. Weapon-wise, you have your Huskblade, which is an anti-infantry 3+ weapon, 5 attacks, 2+ to hit, strength 3, though remembering anti-infantry 3+, minus 2 AP, damage 2. So he definitely doesn't want to be taking on any vehicles or monsters and stuff like that, but he will go into infantry and really do some work. Now, you then got the Splinter Pistol and Blast Pistol, which are going to be 2 different types of weapons. The Blast Pistol is definitely a little bit more stronger, with its strength 8, minus 3 AP, damage D3, though you do have with the Splinter Pistol the anti-infantry 3+ assault and pistol rules as well. Now, moving on, we then have Cabalite Warriors. These are the basic sort of infantry for the Drukhari force, and what you're going to get with these is a unit that can put out some decent range, have a unit leader that can have some combat weapon options, but all the special weapons and heavy weapons the unit can take is now quite a decent amount of firepower coming out of the unit. You do have the Sadistic Raiders rule, where if you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, and this unit, or any transports it embarked upon, which is really cool, is within range of that objective marker, then the objective marker will remain under your control until your opponent takes it off you. Things like these, normally referred to in the community as sticky objectives, are incredibly powerful. Now, you do have, like I said, a variety of different weapon options. You can give the Bearer's unit the grenades keyword if you take the Phantasm grenade launcher on your unit's leader. And you've also got the Sybarite weapon, which is an anti-infantry 3+ weapon. Other than that, you've got the Dark Lance and Blaster, which are damage D6 +1 and +2. So definitely some high-powered weaponry to get rid of some vehicles with, strength 8 and 12 between them. You've also got a Blast Pistol you can put on the unit leader to get another smaller and shorter ranged anti-tank weapon. You then have the Shredder and Splinter Cannon, which will definitely help you and get some infantry killing power to your unit as well. The next unit is the Incubi, a dedicated close combat unit for the Drukhari. Incubi are going to have their base of the Demiclaves on the claves as well. So what these are going to be able to do is give you some nice high AP at -2 with damage 2 on a lot, though you can take your Demiclaves on the unit's leader, which can double their attacks, so you'll go down to AP -1 and damage 1, but I think this is a nice little option to bring into your force. That'll give you a little bit more horde killing potential, but also keeps the rest of your unit still at that nice high powered attack. They have the Tormentor's rule, where at the start of the fight phase, each enemy unit with engagement range of the unit just has to take a Battle Shock test, another super powerful ability. Forcing Battle Shock tests out of phase is incredibly powerful to have access to. Now we then have a Raider, which is a dedicated transport for the Drukhari. This can carry 11 models, so perfect for your Cabalite Warriors and the Archon that can join them. You've got the option for taking a Dark Lance or Disintegrator Cannon on it. A Dark Lance is 1 attack at ability skill 3+, strength 12, minus 3 AP, damage D6 +2. Or you've got the Disintegrator Cannon, which will have 3 shots at 3+ to hit, strength 5, minus 2 AP, damage 2. The Aether Sails on this model as well allow you each time this model advances, don't need to roll, it'll just automatically add 6-inch to its move instead. Now lastly, we have the Ravager, which is a tank variation. This thing takes away its ability to have any units transported on it, but it does now have 3 Dark Lancers or 3 Disintegrators on it as well. You've also got the Eradicate the Foe rule, where each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that is at its starting strength, reroll hit rolls of 1, and if a unit has a starting strength of 1, this ability only applies to the target if it has its starting number of wounds. So really good to sort of strike in and do a nice lot of damage on the first sort of turn and be the first thing to sort of strike out. Today's video is brought to you by Gap Games, a fantastic retailer in Australia for a variety of different miniature war games. If you'd like to help support the channel, we have an affiliate link where by clicking on and purchasing, you'll help support the channel, but you'll also help support Gap Games, which is a fantastic servant to the community. Now looking at where to go next, I think a couple of things I want to look at is making those incubi a little bit faster and a little bit more punchy on the tabletop. We have, the Raider there to transport our Cabalite Warriors and the Archon around, but we do need something to transport to the incubi and indeed give them a little bit more punch. And that little bit more punch comes in the form of Drazar, a really cool model, first of all, has got the nice updated sculpt here, but also is a thing that can lead the incubi units. Now he has the Master of Blades rule. While this model is leading a unit, you can add one to your wound rolls, and Vicious Execution once per battle. When this model's unit is selected to fight, it can use this ability. If it does so, until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by models have the Precision rule, and each time an enemy character model is destroyed by this model, you gain D3 pain tokens. If the destroyed character was the enemy warlord, you just gain a flat 3. Now he has the options for playing around with what weapon option he wants to go, either taking his demi-claves or combining them for a single clave, so he can get some higher strength or more attacks depending what he needs to take on that particular foe. Now talking about a transport for them, the Venom is a really cool transport to bring for this little incubi unit, especially if you put Drazar in them, has a transport capacity of 6 models, which is really nice, so it can't support any models that have the Flyer or Grotesque rules to them, but it does give you access to another Splinter Cannon on the vehicle, but really it's all about being able to transport these incubi around the table nice and quick. Its Athletic Aerialists rule means at the end of the fight phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport, you can select its friendly Drukhari unit that has 6 or fewer models held within 6 inches of the transport, though you cannot select Grotesque or units that can fly, as per it can't transport them. Unless that unit's within engagement range of one or more enemy units, it can just simply embark upon the transport. This is really cool for if your Drukhari incubi here get caught out in the open after destroying an enemy unit, they can jump inside the vehicle to give them some nice protection. Now the next unit I want to look at are the Mandrakes. Definitely with the rest of the units in this force, we're really looking at the things that can operate fast on their own. And Mandrakes, while they do only have a movement of 8, have a really cool ability called Fade Away. What this does is at the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit's not within engagement range of any enemy units at all, you can remove it from the battlefield and put it back in the reinforcements of your army, and then set it up in your next movement phase more than 9 inches away from all enemy units. This is just really cool. If your opponent leaves objectives unguarded, like say they're trying to play around with units with sticky objectives, leaving units, moving off to objectives and stuff like that, your Mandrakes can be a really cool threat to have on the battlefield. A unit with this particular type of rule I think is super powerful and really useful to have. It'll always threaten your opponent's objectives, stop them being able to make use of any units that have sticky objectives because they can't leave objectives unguarded, or you will just simply take them off them. Now, the other units I want to talk about are the Reavers. I think these are a really interesting unit to bring on. Their Eviscerating Flyby rule is nice. Each time this unit makes a normal move, you can select one enemy unit that it moved over during the move, and if you do, you roll a d6 for each model in the unit, and for each 4+, they'll do a mortal wound. On top of this, you can take a couple of Heat Lancers or Blasters on the unit. They'll allow you to get some different sort of anti-tank. Now, the difference here is that you do with the Blaster get d6 plus 1 damage, though it is only strength 8. The Heat Lance, on the other hand, is a Melter 3, but it's strength 14, but is d6 damage. So you've got a couple of interesting things to play around with. You do have a couple of unique upgrades you can take for the unit when you've got a larger unit. The cluster caltrops, each time you inflict wounds using the eviscerating flyby, you can reroll 1d6 from each model of the unit equipped with a cluster caltrop, so you can effectively reroll 1 if you're going to take both of these. And the grav talent means the bearer's melee weapons have the lance ability as well, so pretty cool to be able to take on one of your unit's options there. Now, the last thing to talk about are Scourges. I think these are another interesting unit. They're a jump infantry unit, so they've got a nice big movement of 14 inches with the fly. Wing Strike means in your shooting phase after this unit is shot and are not within engagement range of any enemy units, they can just make a 6-inch move, but they can't charge after they would do such a thing. You get to take 4 cool weapons on the unit, and these can be things like your blasters, dark lancers, heat lance, shard carbines, and shredders and splinter cannons, but a particular favourite of mine is the Drukhari Haywire Blaster. Anti-vehicle 4+ with devastating wounds and heavy I think is really nice, and the flat damage 3 is also pretty solid as well. And so here we have our sample armor list for the Drukhari, obviously using the Real Space Raiders detachment for them, which is the only one we currently have access to, but the Archon will be our Warlord with a blast pistol and Huskblade, the best loadout I think for him. Now Drazar is going to be our second character in the force, and then we have Battleline, a unit of Cabalite Warriors here. Our Sybarite is going to have a blast pistol, a Phantasm grenade launcher, and Sybarite weapon, and then we have one of each of the different special and heavy weapons we have access to with a Blaster, Darkland, Shredder, and Splinter Cannon in the unit. We then have for other infantry a unit of Incubi, and like I said, the Clavex with Demiclaves is my preferred way to go. This just gives us, along with Drazar joining the unit, some really good anti-horde as well as anti-elite infantry ability taking. Mandrakes in there are just a super useful unit. I think they are going to be incredibly potent on the tabletop. For 70 points, they can really be a unit that can shift how games are going and force your opponent to have to play more defensively and not use some of their particular rules. Scourges are in there with the Solarite with the blast pistol and Solarite weapon, along with 4 Drukhari Haywire blasters. And then we have the unit of Reavers. Now we've gone for a unit of 6 of them, so maxing them out. Arena Champion in there with the Agonizer, but he's also going to have the Grav Talon to give his weapons the Lance rule. We then have 2 Reavers with Heat Lancers, another Reaver with the Cluster Caltrops, and then we have 2 Reavers with Splinter Rifles. Dedicated transports, we actually have 2, as we've got the Raider with the Dark Lance and the Venom there with the Splinter Cannon. And then lastly, a Ravager with 3 Dark Lances, giving us some really good anti-tank weaponry across the force as well. If you've been playing with the Drukhari in 10th edition, you've got some games in, let us know how you've been going, your favourite units to take, and indeed, if you've got some ideas for starting out with this initial box set, what would you add to it down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me, we have a Discord server for the channel, and that is linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel. This is either via Patreon or YouTube members using one of our affiliate links and codes down there, like Baron of Dice, Gap Games, or Mithras Games, or by supporting us directly on Patreon or YouTube members. If you'd like to do any of those, we have links for that all in the description. And as a special thank you to our Patrons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons, Soren, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Q Dynamic, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, Colorblind Magic, Grimscold, and Andy C. And our YouTube members, Greenridge Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, James Tillman, Disco, and John Castle. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel. Once again, everyone, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.